The Emmys have wrapped for another year. A baby reindeer reigned. Shogun was riding shotgun, and Hacks stood up to the competition and maybe gave us the biggest upset of the night. Last category. I've got my Deborah Vance on, ready for all the glitz and glamour of a Vegas show. Joyce, break it down for us. I think I'm just going to start with the lead question. How did Hacks do it? How did it upset last year's best Emmy champ, The Bear, which actually had already won more Emmys this year than it had won last year?
I think all the discourse about how it's not a real comedy finally caught up to them. I've been saying like all year, and after season 3 of Hacks, after season 3 of The Bear, which is not eligible till next year, but obviously had a lot more divisive response over the summer. Like it'll probably take a while to trickle down to the Emmys. Like maybe we'll see The Bear lose the Winter Awards first, but it'll still win the Emmy this year for season 2, for which it's eligible and nominated. But I guess it, like, that it is weird. Like you were saying, it won 7 Emmys last week at Creative Arts, and then kicked off with I would consider an upset, like Liza Colón-Zayas over Hannah Einbinder. And I was like, Hannah's never going to win. And so that seemed like, it was just reaffirming The Bear was going to win series, which I think almost everyone had anyway. So you might have been split on Hannah, or maybe you had Meryl Streep and supporting actress, but I think nearly everyone had The Bear in comedy. So I think it's just that. I think it's, it's not a comedy.
And if you thought Hacks was winning,
Hacks deserved. Season 3 was the best.
Oh, it was awesome. You probably thought it was going to win both actress awards on the way. Mm-hmm. So when Hannah Einbinder lost that, it was sort of a bit of a red herring against the ultimate best comedy series result.
Yeah, I had it winning for Jean Smart and Hannah and writing. So it won. Yeah. It won those 2 for Jean and writing. And yeah, I thought that was going to be it for Hacks for the night.
Chris, what's your explanation for Hacks's big night at the Emmys?
I think exactly what Joyce said. I think it caught up. The lack of comedy caught up with it. I guess I was thinking the canary in the coal mine was actually Eugene Levy's joke in the beginning, where it was like, you think we're going to make a joke about Hacks, but there's nothing funny. I'm butchering it, but it was basically like, you can't make a joke about it because it's not a comedy.
In the spirit of Hacks, he's not going to make a joke.
In the spirit of The Bear, we're not making a joke about it because it's not a comedy. I do think that caught up with it. We had talked about a lot that the writing one felt like a real obvious one where Hacks would win, because the TV writers were the most vocal online, at least, about how much they hated that The Bear is a comedy, and had broken the 30 Rock record for most nominations for a comedy. And that was like kind of like get out of our corner, basically, right? For comedy writers, certainly. So I was like, okay, it's definitely going to win comedy writing, and it did. And Jean, I was definitely doubtful that Jean was going to win after Liza Colón-Zayas won, because I just feel like the season 3 of Hacks is so good, I think, honestly, because of Hannah Einbinder. Jean is obviously a given, but Hannah Einbinder is so great in the 3rd season. She really steps up as an actor, I think, and they give Ava so much more to do. And I think the reason the show really worked this season in such a high level is because of her, so that she doesn't win. And that
I think it's so disappointing that it won. I would have rather it just won those 2 awards, knowing that like Hannah lost, but like to have her not part of the wins with Hacks too.
It's crazy, but you know what? Hope springs eternal now for season 4, because now I feel like, why not?
We have to make it up to Hannah. Sorry to Maya Rudolph next year.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry to Maya. They already gave Liza her Emmy for napkins, right? That's maybe what she won for this time. So, absolutely shocking when I can't believe. So The Bear had the most Emmy nominations ever for a comedy. I think did it actually win the most Emmys ever for a comedy?
I mean, it already had that record last year. Okay. So it broke its own record this year.
So Emmys board, we've got The Bear on 11 wins for tonight.
Last year it won 10.
Last year it set the record of 10, so it beat its own record best comedy series. And you got Hacks on 3, but lead actress in a comedy and writing and best comedy series are three pretty big awards. Like that's pretty not facts.
This is a conversation for next year or later, but what if the Bear just goes drama next year? Would they just hightail it out now that they lost in comedy?
You know, the Bear would have had a great shot to win drama series.
Maybe.
Like people love that show. Like it's really good. I was at a few Emmy events last year and there was some talk. Well, like I heard people talking about like Bear, why is it in the comedy race? And so I do think there was that sort of feeling amongst some in the industry. Full disclosure, people sharing that with me were often people connected with other shows that were nominated. Like it wasn't like there was, but I do think that was there. I think like, and whether you agree or disagree, because I know some people think that the Bear should be in the comedy series race. There was clearly some people, Eugene, Levy, acknowledged it in the monologue. That's definitely a sentiment that is out there in the industry. I think there's some really funny moments in the Bear. Like I'm not as like, but if you're going Hacks versus Bear, Hacks is the more comedic.
It's just that the Bear is not written as a comedy, and there are no actual characters who are written to be comedic. I know people would say the facts, but I think that's like that. They're not like the characters themselves are just the humor comes from the situations, which is kind of like how you derive humor from dramas, right? But there's no actual like cartoon character that you see typically in comedies, and it's just like there's just there like you said, like I think there are funny moments in the Bear, and I would say they strived for season 3, again eligible next year, to be funnier with like so much facts content in season 3, just like drill the whole haunting thing into the ground, but it's still not the same type of humor that you see in old school sitcoms or modern comedies like Hacks either, or like Veep,
No, and I think like supporting, it's interesting because the last season of The Bear aired quite recently, or the most recent season. That was like not as well received maybe as previous seasons. I thought it was still really good. But Liza's episode from that season was incredible. And I wonder if that helped her get over the line in a tight best supporting actress race. And her win was, I think, one of the nicest moments of the night, as disappointing as it is for Hannah Einbinder.
When they did when the nominations came out, I said that the worst thing that had happened to Hannah Einbinder is that there was no Abby Elliott in there against her, and like that Abby Elliott missed for the Bear. I do think if there were more than, if it was Liza and Abby, or Liza and Io and Deborah, maybe even if she was still there, it might have had a different outcome, though maybe Io would have won. I don't even know. But like, I think that it was just Liza in there for the Bear was a big factor in that. But again, I still can't believe it lost series. So I don't know. I'm just like, I can't even get over that.
I would love to see the vote totals for that category.
Yeah.
And comedy series would be interesting too, just to see those two races, how close it was between the shows. I wonder if Hannah Einbinder, and I definitely didn't feel this watching the season, but if her characters might be like fit in that Emmy mold of like unlikable, and like like that slightly.
Yeah, I've always kind of felt that way about her, maybe why she has not won yet. Although she was never going to be Hannah Waddingham for season 1.
Yeah,
but like you could say maybe she could have won in season 2, especially when that was also an upset win for Cheryl Lee Ralph 2 years ago. But yeah, I think maybe it's more that Liza is also a veteran, and I think they do like their veterans across all branches and people they've worked with before. And Hannah is not a veteran, and couple that with I think especially the first season or 2, a lot of people think she's just playing herself, she's not even acting, so I think that might have something to do with it too. But it's just, I think it hurts the most because she really did level up in season 3, and she had such great material. I think if this was a loss for the first 2 seasons, it'll be oh, that sucks, but she really deserved it for the season. And it's also Liza, Like, yeah, she has a great tape for season 3, eligible next year. I like, no shade, but like, I don't think she deserved it for season 2 of The Bear.
Neither is. Like, I definitely understand that. So, and Hannah Einbarnet did win the Gold Derby Award, which is good, despite The Bear winning comedy series. So the Gold Derby Awards flipped those two races. Christopher, any last thoughts on the comedy races before we move on to some other Emmy stuff?
No, nothing. I mean, obviously nothing else was a surprise other than that. But that was a pretty great surprise. What a great way to end the show. I can't believe it that they pulled it off, putting that last. What a way to end it. Yeah,
well, and presented by the Schitt's Creek cast, which I think was really cool. This is a cast that set Emmy history themselves for winning all 4 acting awards and writing and directing comedy series in the same year. It's funny. The Bear came very close to matching all 4 actors winning the comedy race tonight as well. And yeah, that was sort of those comedy ensemble handing over to Hacks, a show about stand-up comedy, really fun. What do we think about the show in general? Hosted by the Levys. What do you think, Joyce?
I liked it. I like both Emmy ceremonies that we had in 2024.
Yes.
So I thought they were both well produced, and obviously this one was they took some inspo from the one in January with all like the tributes, which I also loved. I want to know like who was the third coach who dropped out, because it really ruined the symmetry of like 3 people per group presenting. But yeah, like I think we saw like the right amount of Eugene and Dan. And there wasn't any really bad presenter banter. I thought everything flowed nicely. I know some people have an issue with the Jelly Roll in memoriam and the song choice.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was about more mental health and, a plug for his latest single than maybe not what you want to sing about our dearly departed luminaries in the business, but it was still, I think it was a better produced in memoriam segment than the Oscars one.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Chris, of the ceremony?
I also thought it was really good. I liked it a lot. I thought the Levys were great. I actually wanted more of them, I gotta say. I thought they were really fun together, and like their banter was great. And it was definitely like brand safe, I would say. Like nothing they said would make anybody upset, but I was like, this is really fun. They were really good. I love the presenters. I thought were all really good and on point. A lot of the reunions were good. I actually like I thought some of those were like when they put like villains together. I was like, that one didn't work for me. Like Giancarlo Esposito and Kathy Bates and Anthony Starr. But I was like, some of them were good. Like I thought, it was like hit and miss. I loved seeing man, nobody has more fun at award shows than Viola Davis. I feel like she should actually host one of these one year. What if she hosts the Oscars? I think she'd be so good. She's so much fun. She has an absolute blast up there. She looked like she's having the time of her life. So I was into that. It definitely hit like that. Like I felt like they were rushing off a lot of the speeches, which I thought was like kind of like not what you want, because some of them were really good and some of the people handled it really well. I thought John Oliver was like hilarious. I don't even find John Oliver that funny anymore, but I was like, man, that was really fun.
Imagine like really just continue to play him off when he's talking about his dead dog.
That was great, and he like leaned into it really hard. I thought that was great. I thought it kind of bogged down. Like John Leguizamo had I thought that was like
very long.
Really, really good speech, but like maybe not the place or the length for the place for it. It just was like it stopped the show in its tracks, and then you went into the Berlanti Governor Award, which was like another long thing. So you had like maybe like 25-30 minutes, and then I think the in memoriam, it was like a whole huge swath in the middle of the show where they weren't giving out any awards, and it just felt like it was like dead and on its feet. But then it picked up again, obviously, with like after you got through that section. I feel like that always happens with award shows, so it's not like an issue with this Emmys, but I'm like, what if we figured out a way to make that a little more seamless? I don't know. I'm not a producer though, so what do I know?
Yeah. I thought it was a great show. I thought Eugene and Dan were fantastic. And I love it when the hosts like have some connection to Emmys history and stuff like that. So I think it makes sense why they're there. I think like some of the presenting pairings and stuff were a bit hit and miss, but I think like at least because they were linked by playing TV dads or TV villains or whatever, there was some like reason to have it. I like how they like thought of a thematic link for presenters rather than just because usually award shows the presenters are hit and miss, but like when it's a miss, you sort of, why did they even put those two together? At least they had some form of justification. So I like that. Thought some of the reunions were great. The West Wing reunion for me was just so awesome, and the Happy Days reunion with Ron and Henry I thought was really a nice moment. Rob McElhenney and Caitlin Olsen presenting together I thought was also really fun. So yeah, I thought great show. And as you said, Joyce, the one we had earlier this year for the previous year's work was also awesome. So these producers, keep them on as Emmy producers. They get TV, they get how to honor it. There's some great callbacks to the past. And I also just like, side note, they went to the Emmys for a bit of just like having some DJ that played a lot of pop music. And I love how they're now playing themes from the TV shows, from either the past shows from presenters or the current shows for the winners. So
it just reminds you the dearth of themes we have currently.
Yeah. And it reminds you of the shows. You're like, they're coming out to the It's Always Sunny theme, and it makes you think of the moments you sat watching TV, those moments. Like it's like anyway, so I think they did a really good job with that. Speaking a bit of like West Wing, I'll segue us into the drama series races because we had, what was it, 25
get the board
25 years ago, the West Wing set the record for most Emmys won by a drama series in a single season at 9. It stood for about a decade until Game of Thrones came along. So more than a decade until Game of Thrones came along and beat it 12. This year, 25 years later since West Wing set that record, we have Shogun burst through, win 18, which is double what the West Wing had won 25 years ago, presented by the cast of the West Wing. So I think there's just some lovely awards symmetry there. I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to slurp up some noodles.
You have to do it like Cosmo.
Slurp to represent my pleasure. I'm going to pour a big glass of sake. And we are going to, so Shogun, Joyce, what do you think about the Shogun's wins tonight? It probably, as great a night as it had, didn't win as many as we were expecting it to.
Yeah, and I think this has like been the theme of its Emmys run. Like it has a lot of highs, but it has also underperformed in some way. Like it led nominations to 25, but like Chris and I have been saying all summer, really, that like it underperformed in acting. Like it only got 5 acting nominations, when a lot of people were predicting. I mean, I know I was predicting more for it. It missed a whole category on the main show. And then like last week, it already set the record for most wins in a single year just at Creative Arts. And I think a lot of people thought like it could win all 6 categories tonight, and it didn't. So it won 4. So now its total is 18. That's the new record for most wins in a single year. And yeah, I think like the wins it got were its lockiest in series, the double leads and directing. But I had been on the slow horses for writing train for forever. And then I think like almost everyone was torn between Tadanobu and Billy Crudup for a supporting actor. So, and I think it's also, I think he lost that even though he was, Tadanobu was such a fan favorite character. I don't think it was a vote split with Takahiro Ohira, but I think it's just more, they like the acting style of the morning show more than the acting style of Shogun.
Billy Crudup, a past winner in that category as well, so we know they've enjoyed that performance. It was probably the showiest, almost fun performance of the series. Chris, what are your thoughts on things drama all the drama tonight.
Yeah, I feel silly that I changed out. I had Slow Horses and Billy Crudup, and then I did not going into the show because after the Creative Arts Emmys, I was like, well, I'll just switch it out and Shogun can win 6 awards, and then it didn't. My harebrained plot for Billy Crudup at the time was Nestor Carbonell obviously won an acting award for Shogun, but I was like, he's also on the morning show, and I really felt like that was like part of the gag for him winning was because people love him on the morning show, and he was recognizable to a lot of actors from the morning show.
It's also like another veteran win, like Liza.
And I'm like, maybe that was part of it. So yeah, it's funny to me that like, I think you could. I think most people would say like obviously like Anna Sawai was probably like the heart and soul of Shogun, much like Hannah was of Hacks. But I think you could argue that probably Tatenobu Asano played the fan favorite character on Shogun and somehow didn't win an Emmy. I just think that's like pretty. It's not funny, but it's just ironic, I guess, that it's like he is like I think that character was such a like so great and so hard to pin down. It made the show so much more fun to watch, and that he didn't win, I think, is like kind of ironic, but. Otherwise everything else went kind of as expected there. Nothing really surprised me. I wonder if Shogun had the 1 writing nomination instead of 2, if it probably would have just won there. If the pilot had been edged out, I feel like the pilot getting in there hurt the Crimson Sky win because I don't think the pilot is its strongest episode, and Crimson Sky probably could have won writing too if it was a lone nominee there, but happy to see Slow Horses win. That was good.
Yeah. No, it's like it's really good. The Slow Horses writing win, I thought, was just such a lovely win. It was great to see Will Smith take that one out. I loved his reference of like that they were in safe hands. Yeah, he comes in peace. The Will Smith that comes in peace. But I thought that was really nice, and especially with Gary Oldman not ultimately winning. It's nice that Slow Horses won an Emmy this year for its sort of breakout year at the Emmy Awards. So that was really cool. And I think like, Will Smith's done work in with Veep in the past. And I do think like, sort of like bringing those sort of like comedic sensibilities to a dramatic show like Slow Horses does help like showcase the writing maybe a bit, and the sort of maybe feels more like a writery sort of show than the Shogun, which is this more like sort of visual spectacle, as great as the writing is in it. And it was really nice that someone, I don't know, I want to attribute this to the right person in our chat. It was a while ago. But they said that this is the first time in a while that we've had splits in writing, directing for drama, comedy, and limited. That those two haven't paired up together. And I really sort of, part of me likes that because it shows the different sensibilities of those branches rather than just like ticking off a show. And like that's the great thing about the Emmys is that for winners, only people from that branch vote for winners in the category. So, what do you guys think of the writers-directors splits?
I love them. I love the writers branch. It's my favorite branch. They have the best taste.
They also have some really nice nominees.
Often, they always, the comedy writing lineup, perfect. Like any one of them could have won. Yeah. I don't think I would personally give it to Fishes, but like it's still a good episode. So, but I would rank several of them above it. Yeah. Like that like what you were saying about Shogun, like I consider Fishes more of like an acting and directing showcase than a writing showcase.
Yeah. It was Mr. Demerzig who said first time since 2014 that no shows won both writing and director in either drama, comedy, or limited. So there has been splits in that time, but not for all three. Chris, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think this year it was probably deserved based on the wins. Like I did love Ripley's. I think the filmmaking of Ripley is like really good. So I was so happy that Steve Zalian won. I'm sure we'll get to limited here in a second. And then obviously like Hacks winning writing felt very strongly deserved, even if it hadn't won comedy series. And then for Shogun, yeah, I think Soul Horses winning was right there too. And obviously I think Shogun is like the Crimson Sky episode is obviously like incredibly well directed. And I was like really happy to see it win there. So yeah, I think is it the Academy had taste, or like were they unable to pick? Like you couldn't really go against what's actually good this year. I don't know, maybe. Is it possible they were just able to pick the best stuff this year? Is that what happened?
Maybe, just maybe. Maybe they watched those tapes this year. Maybe they watched the submissions. So that's pretty cool. We can move. We can. You mentioned Chris will talk about the limited. We can move to sort of limited races into. But just first, we now have breaking the Gold Derby Emmy winner prediction results have come in, because all season long at goldderby.com, people have been able to make their Emmy predictions, compete with all the people who have the best know in Hollywood. And our user that scored the best, over 2,700 people worldwide predicted, our top scorer getting 21 out of 25 categories. It was Arrett. 84%. So that's very good. He did very good. And there are 10 other people who had the same score, but they didn't use their super bet. So he got the best score of all the predictors. For our editors team, Christopher, congratulations. You got the best score of the Gold Derby editors.
Wow.
80%. It's because you stuck with
Zalian. I went down with Zalian and did it.
Yeah, and then you know what I did? Today I went off of slow horses.
Yeah, I went off slow horses, and I went off slow horses and Billy. I should have stuck with that.
Wait, when did you went off of Drag Race?
Yeah, I did that too. I went to Traders.
Well, and Joyce, you came second though, so you did pretty well as well.
I could have gotten 2 more right, but I was just like, I'm gonna do all slow horses, all Shogun. And just hope it doesn't win all 6.
Yeah,
but it did. It didn't.
It didn't.
And then we got in third place a whole crop of people, and then I'm pretty low down at 64% this year. I did not do well with the Emmy predictions this year. But no, well done to both of you. Limited series, Baby Reindeer took it out. I'll get my antlers on. Baby Reindeer took it out this year, just like the comedian Baby Reindeer got all my prop comedy ready to go. Joyce, Baby Reindeer, big night for it, but it didn't win everything on the road to its best limited series win.
No, and I wasn't expecting it to. I mean, I did have it in directing, but it lost that, which is not really surprising either, I don't think. And I didn't have it in supporting actor, which was the toss-up category of the night, and I'm so happy that I went to Lamar Morris. But the other wins for Baby Reindeer were all expected. I think Chris and I talked about this after nominations, that directing was its weakest category, but the other 4, it should totally win, series, actor, supporting actress, and writing, and it did.
Yeah, Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was hard to go against any of the. It was.
You
hard
tried.
I tried really hard because it was not my favorite show, Matt. But I did try. I tried to go against it, but you couldn't really. And I think Richard Gadd did. I thought his speeches were really good. I love Jessica's speech. I thought she was great and a deserved winner. So I wasn't really surprised at any of the outcomes. Richard Gadd seemed surprised that he won actor, which I was like, man, you're a great actor, because I don't think a lot of people expected him to lose that, particularly to John Hamm. I thought people maybe would have thought Andrew Scott would have won, but he's a great actor. He won an Emmy, so there you go. Yeah. The directing win, I just felt like, because it was the whole series versus one episode or one single episode, even though obviously Veronica directed other episodes, that felt like it would push it over the top. Plus, they clearly love the filmmaking of Ripley. I know it's different branches and stuff, but I'm like, they really did respond to that aspect of Ripley, seemingly, and all its wins were around that kind of thing, like in terms of cinematography and visual effects and all that other stuff. So I don't know. I was not surprised that it won there, I guess. I was very happy that Steve Zalian won, though. And then, so good for Baby Reindeer. And congratulations to Netflix again. Netflix just dominates this limited series race, it seems now.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Do you have guys any final thoughts on the Emmys for tonight before we move on to our next panel?
I still can't believe Hacks won.
Yeah. I just wanted I want to give a shout out to Lamorne Morris. Joyce mentioned him. It was so great seeing him when I Love New Girl. I thought he ran a great.
That was for a New Girl too.
He ran a great Phase 2 campaign. It was like a happy to be there, but like really fun. A guy who I think a lot of people in the industry like.
The video with his daughter.
Did the video with his daughter, which was great. That was a crazy category, obviously, because he had Robert Downey Jr. as a lone nominee, and most people expected him to be the favorite. Jonathan Bailey was the people's choice, but on a show that I don't think people really cared about. Tom Goodman-Hill playing a character on Baby Reindeer who was completely despicable and actually not in it very much. So it was like wide open. I felt like I think I had Lamorne fourth maybe in my picks, but
I think I had him fourth too.
I'm so glad
he's who I wanted to win.
I'm so glad he won. Yeah.
To Gold Derby have him in last on the odds?
I have no idea.
I don't think he was in last. That was there's a lot of nominees in that category. So I don't think he was in last.
Like wild race, but I do think, like I said, Hacks was the biggest upset. But in terms of like the person lowest down in predictions winning, Lamorne Morris was the one.
Yeah. So rude to Winston.
I know.
Jake Johnson and me next. That's next.
Yeah.
Next.
There you go. Well, Chris and Joyce, thanks so much for joining us for the past half hour. All the best. Enjoy the post-Emmy, I don't know, like wind down. And we're now joined by Charles Bright and Tony Ruiz. Sorry, Tony. How are we going? Emmys, like, Tony, what's forefront of your mind?
I'm really happy. Surprisingly, even though Shogun maybe underperformed according to what most people probably thought, I love that the fact that Emmy voters clearly went on their own and didn't just do a blanket sweep of categories. So I'm actually really happy about this crop of winners.
Yeah, it's funny. We've got like a show that's won more awards for drama series than ever before, a show that's won more Emmys for comedy series than ever before. But you're right, there was room for other shows to get acknowledged, and it didn't seem like a sweep like some previous years have. So that's really cool. Charlie, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, that was one hell of a note to end on with that Hacks win, which is something I'm also, that as much as I love the win because I think it's so genuinely deserving. I'm also kicking myself because I had Hacks for the longest time until after Creative Arts, and I switched over to the Bear. I had Liza for a long time, and I had Liza initially my number one, but then I switched back to Hannah. I think the other word, other than being genuinely happy about everything, is I'm kind of relieved because I was really, really not looking forward to Shogun winning everything but one award, and the Bear winning everything but one award. I was really not looking forward to that, as much as deserving as they may be. So I was very happy to see surprises. Like it reminded me of what it was like, because I was actually thinking as we were starting the show, I was thinking to myself, it used to be that the Emmys were like the most unpredictable. Were reliably the most unpredictable show. But in recent years, it's become incredibly predictable. But this year, God damn, did they really come through and actually, I think they actually made a case for that, maybe the way that they're doing the voting actually kind of works right now. I still can't get over the Lamorne Morris win, which I know you guys didn't talk about that much, but that one is just still like really screwing with my head, because like as happy as I am,
it's a great win.
It's a great win. He's so good on it. It really, and Tony, I know you're probably on the same page as me. It really bums me out that it was at the expense of Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah. Not as much as I thought it would be.
Yeah, and look, Rob asked me like in the pre-show if there was anything that I was just really hoping for, or and it was a surprise acting win for Fargo. Like, that's what I was really hoping for going to the Emmys. But I was thinking Juno Temple, John Hamm, who was so incredible, and I think like the real drivers of that season. And I still would have a bit disappointed neither of them was able to win.
Well,
you've never seen them give performances.
That's the first acting win for Fargo.
Yeah. And I got my wish. I got the surprise actor when he was in the category. I thought I had no
It's
chance.
outstanding.
How did Lamore win this? Other than his interview with Gold Derby.
Either he flattered enough people or he threatened enough people.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things with that category in particular is that he was in many ways the emotional heart of Fargo. And so that character was like he was kind of like the home base of Fargo. He was the heart, he was the soul, he was the conscience of that season. And I think in a year where all the members of that particular category could have gone either way, I think he was the kind of the focusing point. So I think that's what got him there.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think like the front runner that won that I was actually a little bit surprised by was Jodie Foster, because I think Juno Temple or Brie Larson are going to actually upset here. Hard to know which of the two, particularly because I think maybe True Detective didn't quite, even though it got so many nominations, maybe wasn't on the radar as much as, or didn't pop as much as Lessons in Chemistry or Fargo when they first aired. But Jodie Foster was able to hold on to that. Is that partly because she's so great in that show, but also it's her first Emmy win, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I know she got nominated for directing for Orange is the New Black. What was that, like 10, 11 years, or 11 years ago, I think it was.
Yep.
And I don't know if she's been nominated other times. My guess is she most likely has been. But I believe that's her first career Emmy win.
Yeah. Yeah, no, good point. Tony, any thoughts on that race?
I'm thrilled about her because it's very much a non-Jodie Foster performance in that she is absolutely despicable throughout most of that series. She is horrible on every level, and yet you want to empathize with her. And then in the episode, in the final episode, you actually kind of get to the meat of why she is that way, the loss that she's occurred that's made her that way. I think it's just a great win. I was so thrilled by that one.
Yeah. Obviously big night for Baby Reindeer. Richard Gadd, who was actually a fan of the Gold Derby website before he made it in the industry, and he said it was just a thrill to be part of our predictions center and be an option for this year, and he's now won. And I thought what he said was really lovely about like how shows outside I'm paraphrasing it, but how shows outside the box can be, dare to be different. I think whatever you think of Baby Reindeer, it was like nothing else we've seen on the Emmys before. Charlie?
I'm sorry. The speech was very reminiscent of Cord Jefferson's for adapted screenplay at the Oscars this year, when he was talking about, it's about taking those risks. And I mean, holy shit! If you want to talk about taking a risk, Baby Reindeer, that is a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, even for an outlet like Netflix, and the fact that it caught the zeitgeist like it did, and just and really became this cultural thing that everyone was talking about. It still blows my mind that a show like this became as popular as it became, as popular and as universal and as mainstream a success as it did. Because it's a type of show that you maybe would expect would get a lot of critical lauds, and maybe when a couple of Emmys, like a writing and supporting actress, but for it to have succeeded the way that it did, I think this is a wonderful culmination for all that. It also just came out at the perfect time. I think that's actually one of the things that actually hurt Jonathan Bailey with Fellow Travelers is the fact that it came out so long ago, and that you had shows like True Detective, Fargo, Baby Reindeer, and Ripley. All those shows came out and kind of just stomped on whatever momentum it could have had.
Yeah, and all those shows with more nominations than Fellow Travelers as well.
Exactly.
So, even just in terms of Emmy voters, they preferred those other shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Across many branches. I think it was great, Richard. And it's so funny. We had years of stand-up comedians struggling to win at the Emmys, and this year we got Gene Smart and Richard Gadd both winning for playing stand-up comedians, although not your typical Jerry Seinfeld stand-up comedian performance that is struggling.
I mean, I think that's actually one of the things that I actually found so brilliant about the directing of Baby Reindeer. Why I thought it was going to be, because I thought that other than the episode that it was nominated for is that great where it's going back and forth, and especially that flashback and his and what goes on with him in that apartment. But it also really captures how just the absolute horror that is bombing on a stage. I don't think I've known that can be a bad experience, but I don't think I've ever felt it communicated that way or shown that way before. And I think that's one of the things that I actually think it does really good job with is directing.
Oh, it's awesome. What about the sort of variety and reality categories? We actually had like an upset with The Traders taking down RuPaul's Drag Race, which has won for the last number of years. Any thoughts on that big upset?
Well, we knew that RuPaul was vulnerable, not just because it didn't win anything at Creative Arts, especially RuPaul losing, because RuPaul was winning that category before the series was actually winning. So I think that was a sign, but it still felt kind of it still felt kind of weird, like it still might be a default winner. But Alan Cumming winning that hosting one was a big indicator, and I'm so glad he got to give a speech because he's been nominated for several Emmys, including quite a few he should have won for The Good Wife. And it's nice to be able to see him give a speech, and he was great. He just gave a great speech. It's just why he's a consummate professional.
I love how he acknowledged that we know at the Emmys you like your favorites, sort of acknowledging that RuPaul.
I love that.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we're going to be back next year.
I love that. I thought that was so great.
He said it in such a non-snarky,
a heartfelt way.
And he said
it wasn't snarky, but it was true. It wasn't
true.
Snarky, but it was true.
And that's and he didn't say and that's wrong. He said and that's a good quality in some ways, and that's why we appreciate so much that you've honored us this year. I thought that was such a lovely way he worded that. I thought that was really cool.
I liked both the variety categories, their speeches. It was so after by the end of his tenure, we were all tired of Jon Stewart getting up on stage, but it was nice to see him back up there, and of course he shouted out his co-host. And I like that he gave the last word to the showrunner who started as a PA on the show. What is that? 26 years ago, before he was even there, back in the Craig Kilborn era.
Yeah, that was such a good story, Tony.
Yeah.
No, I thought what was a common joy among the nominees and the winners was the kind of willingness to give credit to the people that maybe weren't the frontline people. Jon Stewart giving credit to the person who started as a PA. Shogun giving credit to Hiro, who was for a lot of people, Shogun is Hiroyuki Sanada. I thought there was just so much graciousness on that stage that was just it made you feel good. It made you want to just give yourself a hug, and it doesn't happen that often that much at the Emmys. So I just thought it was so sweet. That was kind of the, not just from the winners, but from Dan and Eugene Levy, who were great. I thought so much of the presenter banter was great. It was just such a sweet, kind of embracing ceremony.
Yeah. The Saturday Night Live presentation, I thought was a really good one too, where they sort of like talk about all the Emmys Lawrence lost and then all the Emmys Lawrence won. And
I think it's Lauren.
Lauren. Oh, sorry, Lauren. Yeah, Lauren.
Lauren. Which one is it? I don't know.
I was just waiting for one of them to say, Lauren, that's not a real name.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't realize how insanely drop dead gorgeous Rob McElhenney is in a tux.
Yeah.
Never realized that.
Well, yeah. Also, what I'd like to say is one of my favorite wins of the night was the variety special writing category where Alex Edelman took that out.
Alex Edelman
ended up being unexpectedly very moving.
Yeah. And and when he won, he like hugged 4 of the other nominees who I think like Mike Birbiglia being one of them, who I think Mike Birbiglia may have produced like all the shows in that category.
Yeah, he was a producer on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, other than the Oscars, I think he's had a hand in all those stand-up specials. And Alex Edelman, I thought that is such a great stand-up special. Like, it's just so, the way it's constructed, the way it's like so silly and funny, but it tells a story about him visiting a white supremacist meeting. And it's just the way he brings it all together. It's just so good. And so I was just so happy to see him win. And he was the front runner at Gold Derby's odds, but he seemed really just rocked by that win and like he wasn't expecting it at all, which was cool. And I think, did you meet him recently, Tony, at something, or am I wrong about
that? I met him. I met him at an event where I saw Phil Rosenthal, and Alex was the co-host. And he's, by the way, a big fan of you, Matt. So I just want to say.
Well, I interviewed, I guess, from my interview with him.
Yes, he was a big fan of of his interview with you, but he was also very aware of his stature in the rankings. But he had nothing but great things to say about you.
Oh, that's not why I asked you, but that's lovely to hear. That's fantastic. That was possibly a top 3 interview for me this season for sure. He was just so great to talk to. Usually when the interviews do well, it's because the person you're interviewing is just like engaging well and great. So you guys missed the first half hour of this discussion. Is there any categories or races you wanted? Well, I mean, you weren't here to provide your thoughts.
Oh, okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I missed it. Well, so I probably should have said, we miss you for the first half of the
and
website.
Don't you forget it.
Yes. Are there any races you'd like to weigh in on that you haven't got a chance to give your thoughts or breakdowns on? Maybe the Hacks upset or something else?
Let me see here. I do want to say, like, I do as much as I was really rooting for Hannah, but I do also love Liza Colón-Zayas on The Bear, and I thought her season 2 was impeccable. Before I saw season 3 of Hacks, I thought that she was easily going to win that. And it turns out she did end up winning, but she really just is so good. I had no idea she was married to David Zayas, who most people probably remember as playing Batista on Dexter. When they showed her next to him, I was like, no way, that's incredible. I will say one thing I was surprised about in terms of speeches is how much truly a loss for words Jeremy Allen White was. Like, he just had no idea what to say. Like, he had run out of things to say. Which I honestly, he's won at so many ceremonies. I don't blame him for that. I'm just trying to think of some of the other wins that are none that are jumping out at me, but I mean, that was just, I mean, I'm just so relieved that we actually had variety of winners. We had genuine upsets, and I mean, there are things I'll always gripe about, but overall, pretty good.
Yeah, Tony, thoughts on any of the races?
No, I'm going to say what I think before we lose power because we're having thunderstorms.
Oh no! Oh my goodness!
Yes, we're having major thunderstorms in my region. Great show. Dan and Eugene Levy, amazing. I thought it was a really just emotional show. The grouping of presenters was fantastic. The cast of The West Wing, the cast of Happy Days, the way that they grouped archetypes together was fantastic. I really just thought the show moved really well. I liked it a lot. It was a surprisingly old-fashioned show, but incredibly effective. I just thought it worked on every level.
Yeah, it felt like you didn't. One of the things that I can't stand sometimes with award shows is when you feel like you're having people there, and it's especially I feel is true with the hosts. With hosts, you feel like you're having them forced to do something that is completely not natural to them, and they have no business doing. This year, I did not feel that one bit. Everything felt like it worked really well. I was very nervous when I saw Dan Levy in the audience, but that bit ended up working out really, really well. I just thought everything
that was hysterical.
Yeah, no, I was surprised how well that worked. And the other thing you could tell is that you could tell the audience was. I think one of the things is that you could tell the audience was really enjoying it as well. So that was really coming through. And yeah, I'm just over the moon about that.
Yeah. Awesome. I feel like we've done a bit of a disservice to people posting comments on the video. So just seeing if there's any interesting comments that people have that would be or have shared over the course.
There's a lot of love for Jodie Foster there.
A lot of love for Jodie Foster. That's great. I think what was I going to say? Now I get the Lamore Morris was the biggest shocker. That's Denise Rodis's comment. Tom G. Hannah Einbinder is being Anna Klumpski'd. So I like that comment. That's a good one. Klumpski from Veep, who was never able to win the supporting actress race, despite Julia always winning lead actress and even the series winning best comedy show.
And Tony Hale winning too.
Tony Hale winning as well. So yes, hopefully 1 year Hannah can win, but you never know. Ali, Always HQ, Ali McBeal only won 3 when it won the series. So I guess Hacks is in the tradition of Ali McBeal. Carries on that. I think the Office, when it won Best Comedy Series, won less. So that was the one.
And when Sex and the City won in 2001, that was its only award, both when you combine both main ceremony and creative arts.
Yeah. From Oru, sorry, I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's Jean Smart is won 7 Emmys this her 7th Emmy this year. Or 6 acting Emmys, or she's on a list of people who have won 6 or more acting Emmys, along with Maya Rudolph, Hank Azaria, Art Carney, Tyne Daly, John Lithgow, Ed Aston, Alison Janney, Mary Tyler Moore, Cloris Leachman, and Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Remind me, so she's won 3 for Hacks. She won 1 for Samantha Who. Did she win 2 for Frasier?
I don't know.
2
for Frasier. She did win 2 for Frasier? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You go. Josh Friedman thinks Eliza and Lamourne's speeches were the best of the night.
I'll never forget that we used to think that Jean Smart would only win in upsets and lose in upsets. Because like the years that she was up, remember? Because like the years that she was up for Fargo and Watchmen, we thought she was way out front. She lost both of those, and the year, and this is even way before that. Samantha Who in 2008. I don't think anybody was really giving her that much of a shot to win that one. But to her credit, though, she was great on that show.
Yeah, no, she was.
I'm just going to give you a warning in case we're having some thunderstorms in my region, in case I lose power. We just lost local power. I have backup. But it's that time of day.
No, that's fine. If you go, you go. Rob Licuria, was he meant to join for this?
He was scheduled.
He was supposed to.
I hope he's okay. I'm sure he is. I'll check in with him after the show. But yes, Tony, stay safe.
And it was at least nice that we got to see Christopher Story at least give one speech after not getting to give 3 speeches last year.
Yes, no,
right?
That's very true.
Because he had COVID.
Yeah. Marcus Atkins says he still can't understand how The Wire never got nominated and Better Call Saul never won at the Emmys. So, and just something I said in the pre-show, Curb Your Enthusiasm by losing tonight has now finished its run since the final season. 11 nominations for Best Comedy Series, 0 wins. The only other series that have had 11 nominations in that category are MASH and Cheers, iconic shows that did both win Best Comedy Series. And I think the only drama to get 11 nominations for Best Drama Series is Law and Order, that was also able to win one. So the closest you can get in drama or comedy series to sort of most nominations without a win is Better Call Saul on 7 without a win. And I've lost Tony. And the other ones are, I think, Sent Elsewhere and The Laurie Saunders Show on 6 without a win. So sad news for Curb. No one was expecting it to win going into tonight.
I remember watching the ceremony in I guess it was 2002? No, it was 2003 when Curb won the directing award, and it was up. There were 4 episodes of that season up that year, and I was so happy about it because it was it was for my favorite episode of that bunch, which is the infamous Crazy Eyes Killer. That's such a great episode.
Yeah. No, it would have been a great, it's such a shame that show has finished its run without winning Best Comedy Series. I think it's like, for a show to have had 12 it's been nominated 11 times, 12 seasons where it's been that consistent and that good throughout, and it really wasn't. And I think it's shame.
It's unfortunate also that there wasn't more recognition for the actors of that show. I mean, you had Larry nominated a couple times, and it was nice to see him back this year. You had Cheryl Hines nominated a couple times, but Jeff Garlin never got nominated. And JB Smoove would have been a great nominee for that show.
I think it would have been lovely to have someone give a farewell for that show at the Emmys tonight.
Yeah, it would have. But I mean, Larry wasn't even there.
Larry wasn't there, but can you get someone even if you got one of the Seinfeld people there, or just someone from the show, just to acknowledge that is a show that has been part of TV history for more than 2 decades.
I will say. Michael J. Fox should have won the Guest Acting Emmy Award when he was up for that one season, which is like one of the greatest guest starring roles I've ever seen.
Yeah. So no. But anyway, there's my little Curb rant. Underappreciated or undervalued at the Emmys. Julia Gulia says JB Smoove should have been nominated. Yeah,
you're right. He should have been.
Yeah. Question from
Susie Essman should have been nominated too. She's so great. She's so great. No one drops an F-bomb like her.
Yeah, she's so good. Question from SSS Shah. How do you think the years long breaks influence the sweeps? Would Shogun have won so much had there been House of the Dragon, The Last of Us, etc.? What do you think about that? Was Shogun helped by shows taking a break this year?
Possibly. I mean, it was a lot of it is also because of the everything that was affected by the strike, and I'm not sure. I feel like Shogun truly had, and it was, I think it was also a matter of when it dropped and aired, and I think even if there had been more high profile stuff like House of the Dragon or season 2 of Last of Us, I really think it really captured something that I think would have still done well, and especially maybe not as well in the creative arts. Maybe we would have seen a bit more of a spread the wealth situation there, and seen some of those other shows pick up some of those things. But especially when we look at how it played out tonight, directing both lead actors and the series, I think it probably still would have won those.
Yeah, look, I think it was helped. I do think this year, like last year, this year was, I think the nominees were great across the board for drama series, but like we did have last year's winner, Succession had finished up, Better Call Saul had also finished up. You then had shows that last year were competing for the win, like The White Lotus and The Last of Us, not in the race. Look, if one of those shows had been on this year, and there's some other shows that took a break too, like House of Dragons and things, Severance wasn't back yet this year, Stranger Things wasn't back this year. Like if one of those shows had been out this year with an incredible season.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. If they were good, they would have to be good also.
Have a great, incredible season. Yes, would have given Shogun a run for its money. It probably wouldn't have won quite as many as it did, and it would have,
and it would have made it a lot more. I think a lot more uncertain.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if it still had won, the categories that it did.
Yeah, I still think creative arts has still done very well in, because I think first seasons of shows tend to do quite well in creative arts. But for stuff like drama series and the acting races, like Pedro Pascal, if he was as good in season 2 of Last of Us, I think he came close to winning this year for that. So I do think, and it's Shah. Thank you, Shah, for the correction of how to pronounce your name. So I think, and look, the Emmys now have become so much more about timing a bit, and like what year does if Better Call Saul's final season had been this year instead of the last season, Succession, I don't know if it beats Shogun in any of these categories, but maybe it does win one or two of those awards. So hard to know.
I think that's wishful thinking on both on your part, Matt, as much as that. And I know how much, because I adore that show too, and it is so wrong how under-rewarded it was, that we never got that. Jonathan Banks and Rhea Seehorn and Bob Odenkirk never got wins for that.
Yeah, but I think probably with how well Shogun was received and did, I think it would have struggled to overcome Shogun. So that is fair. So yeah, there we go. Any last thoughts, Charlie, on the Emmys this year? Oh, I do have the Gold Derby expert winner. So this is where people from multiple websites all compete for the Emmys, and Chris Rosen from Gold Derby, one of our submitted experts in that field, not only won amongst editors, but he won the experts too. And the other expert winner was, I've just closed it now, Nikki Novak from Fandango. So there you go. Congratulations to Nikki.
I really hope that this attitude with the Emmys, with voting for the winners, continues into the next several years, because as I said at the beginning, I was really worried about, just it being, these another steamrolling year. And the fact that it played out like it did is incredible. And I'm very happy, not just with the winners, but just how it played out in general. So I'm very hopeful about that, and I really hope. And also, I know we'll be getting it. It'll be eligible next year. So Squid Game season 2. I can't wait for that.
Well, yeah. And Josh Friedman says, because you had the shout out for Liza's husband, he played her husband in season 3 of The Bear, which was really cool too.
Oh, I love when they do that sort of thing.
There you go. Nice little shout out there. No, I great Emmys this year. There's a few people that have liked to win that didn't, but that's always the case. And I think generally across the board, there's some lovely winners. We had no one was able to sweep, but we still had records set in comedy and drama series for most Emmys won. So there was like a lot of love for a couple of shows, while at the same time they found places to reward others. I'm going to slurp some more noodles to just express my pleasure, just like Blackthorn.
Please tell me those are not plain.
they're like...
Is there a flavor packet in there or something? Please say there is.
Just like Blackthorn, they're prop noodles, Charles. They're just for the web show. I haven't like put fancy flavorings in there or anything.
Oh yeah, well yeah, and yeah, I mean it's been fun. I'm still trying to unload Lamore and Morris, but that's what I'll be processing and pouring over. If I had data to back it up, I would pour over it for the next month.
Fargo won an acting Emmy. That's what I'm happy about.
Unbelievable.
Lamore,
Gene Smart's going, damn, he did something I couldn't do.
And look, Sam Sproul and Joe Keery snub for that category, bro. Probably helped Lamore not having any Fargo vote splitting happening.
And also the one who played, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who played Juno Temple's husband, I thought was fantastic.
David, yeah, I interviewed him.
Yeah, so I didn't realize this until I looked him up. He was in this movie called 9 Days, which is it's kind of a weird movie, but it's also kind of incredible. I was very mixed on it, but his performance like broke my heart in that movie, and so I love seeing what he's doing, and loved him. I thought he was a great comedic role in this year of Fargo.
David Rystel, I believe.
Rystel, that's his name.
Yeah, no, he was awesome in the show too. Yeah, no, what a great Emmys! And like, thanks Charlie, thanks Joyce, thanks Chris, thanks to Tony for helping unpack everything, and thanks to everyone in the chat for joining in the discussion and getting involved too. Goldderby.com is the place for awards. We will probably start talking about next year's Emmys very soon. Like now we've got
3, 2, 1. All right, we're here.
Yeah, and look, and some of the nominees are already like have their seasons done and dusted.
Yep.
Like, we've got Only Murders in the Building in its season for next year, so we can break down and unpack it. If the Emmys are too far away for you for next year, they're not for me, but if they're too far away for you for next year, we've got the Oscars and the Film Awards coming in the pipeline.
We are right in the middle of festival season, and it is very exciting right now.
It's a lot of fun. There's so much at Gold Derby. Forums, joining the discussion. That's where me and Charlie were sort of introduced to the wonderful world of Gold Derby, and like helped me get excited and learn about the awards. And yeah, make your predictions. And thanks so much to Keith for producing this show, and for Chris and Latasha and Marcus and all the people not behind the scenes, but all the sort of team, full-time team at Gold Derby who have helped us cover this race this year. It's so much fun. I love it. Look forward to it every year. And yeah,
we love doing it.
We love it. Thanks for watching. Bye.